The international community this week welcomed news of a ceasefire in Israel's latest Gaza confrontation. But as a fragile sense of calm returns to the region, many Israelis are voicing concerns that the underlying threat of a Gaza rocket attack has not been removed. Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman met with JN1's Peter Dickinson in Jerusalem and explained why he's confident that despite public skepticism over the ceasefire agreement, it was nevertheless in Israel's best national interests.
Minister Lieberman, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now that the dust is settled on Operation Pillar of Defence, we're seeing that Israeli public opinion would have favoured a ground operation in Gaza, but the ceasefire is in place. How important was international opinion in reaching the decision to accept the ceasefire proposals?
First of all, it must be clear. We take our decisions according to our national interest. It doesn't matter what the public opinion, it doesn't matter what is the pressure from the international community. When you come to the issue of peace and war, it must be a real tough decision. It must be a decision without any influence. And I think that we took right decisions, tough decisions, and we achieved all our goals. And even if it's against our constituency, even if it's against our electoral interests, I'm proud that we took right decisions.
But Hamas were firing rockets until the very last moment, and so it's hard to argue that they had their capability to attack Israel destroyed, perhaps diminished, but certainly not destroyed. How can you then justify the ceasefire in the context of the safety of the citizens of southern Israel?
We define the goals of these operations as three main goals. First of all, stopping the firing rockets on our citizens. Second, it's the rehabilitating of our deterrence capability, and the third, to destroy all long-range missiles. I think that we destroyed all of long-range missiles, like Fajr 5. It was the biggest threat to our security, and we enjoy now, at least still now, very quiet atmosphere situation. It will take time, but what we see in our assessment, what we told before, to ensure life in peace and security for our citizens, we have this today. The same regarding the deterrence capability. I think that it's clear to Hamas what will be the next step. And it's impossible to discuss so sensitive issue day after the operation. It's impossible, to share with the public opinion all details. But it was serious decisions, and it was really close coordination between government, security forces, military. In the end of the day, everybody supported the government decision for ceasefire and all the understandings that we achieved with Egypt and the United States.
There was obviously a large amount of concern in Israel at the election of President Morsi and the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood. Does the interaction of the last week give you more confidence that this is someone that can be a partner for Israel, that can form a productive, pragmatic relationship, as opposed to an ideologically opposed, perhaps, position that a lot of Muslim Brotherhood leaders have a lot of rhetoric in that direction?
It's clear that Egypt now is a transition period, and it will take more time. Israel, we never interfered in the domestic situation, domestic politics of any country, and it's their right of Egyptian citizens to make their choice. We will respect all leaders, all governments, if they will respect us. What we hear from the new leadership, that they will respect all their international obligations, all their commitments, and we're satisfied. Now it's the first time that we are working together on very sensitive issue for the both countries, and it's another step and another level of neighborhood of the cooperation and coordination. I hope that this cooperation will be very fruitful for the both sides.
Now, to look at the Arab Spring in a broader context, and specifically Hamas within the Arab Spring, one thing that I noticed over the past 9-10 days and Operation Pillar of Defence was that there wasn't the massive outpouring in the Arab world that one would perhaps have expected a few years ago in terms of street protests, massive actions. Do you think that there's a sea change within the Arab world about attitudes towards Hamas and groups like this who are pre-Arab Spring? Do you think that they also now are going through a process of reinvention, that they're going to have to look at themselves in a different political light?
You know, the Arab world, they are facing too many challenges. And I think that Palestinian issue, from their point of view, it's a last priority. You know, they pay some lip service to the crowds, but in the end of the day, they understand that the civilian war in Syria, and more than 40,000 people slaughtered in the 22 months. The situation in Libya, the situation in Iraq, the situation in Tunisia and Bahrain. They understand that the real threat and the real challenge, it's Iranian penetration into the Arab world. We see the Iranian penetration even to the Gaza Strip with jihad, their penetration and their influence in Lebanon with Hezbollah through proxies. We see their involvement in Syria, even in Somalia and Sudan. And of course the biggest threat on the Gulf countries. And I think in the end of the day, the Arab leaders understand that stability and sustainable ceasefire between Israel and the Palestinians, it's even more their interest than our interest.
In terms of the ceasefire and in terms of Hamas specifically, during the operation, you were quoted in the media saying that if the IDF does go into Gaza, they need to go to the end to finish the job. What is your, can you clarify what you understand by finishing the job? This is an occupation?
Very simple, it's a full occupation to topple the Hamas regime and to bring reasonable people that they're able to manage their domestic issues and the relations with Israel in you know, normal and reasonable way.
How close was that to being realized in this recent incident?
I'm not sure that it's a question for the press, but in any case, we prepare ourselves to this option also.
Is it not simply then a matter of sooner or later you will have to go in, you will have to root them out, you will have to take, as you say, go take it to its natural conclusion?
All options on the table. We'll keep two options. First of all, to maintain the sustainable ceasefire and to contain the situation as it's now. And the second option, of course, invasion. Two options on the table. Maybe we prefer the first option, but we're ready for the second option also.
Only time will tell whether the current ceasefire represents a step towards a sustainable peace or merely the latest pause in hostilities. In the short term, the Israeli government's decision not to launch ground operations and remove the Gaza rocket threat once and for all is likely to be a major theme when Israeli voters go to the polls in parliamentary elections scheduled for early 2013. This is Peter Dickinson for JN1 in Jerusalem.